Welcome to Oaa Now. Here, I'm Sammy Termina here, blog of the Dragon's Den, blog of Inside the OAA, and one of the hosts tweeting to me is at Orion Television. I'd like to welcome our friends watching on Oxford Community Television. I'd like to welcome our friends watching on YouTube and also on the local voice and also on ON TV. Got a lot talking to you about this week here. We got a lot of discussion here considering what's been going on around the OAA. Of course, a lot of football talk about, and we got a lot of things we got to mention here this week on the pod. We got some questions that we have to address here, and some teams I think that are in good shape, and I think there's some teams that are in some big time trouble. Let's recap the games this week here. Of course, we were on week 5. The during the part of the season, we're getting really close to deciding playoff teams this year, and we're getting really close. And I know there's been a lot of people on Twitter lately that have been really critical of some teams. Considering North Farmington's game with Berkeley, we're going to go over that one, but also with Lake Orion, and I think in their game West Bloomfield, and I personally was at that game where it was not a where I thought, I'm gonna be honest with you, I thought the officiating was kind of suspect in that one, but let's recap each of these games here around the OAA. Of course, if you check out my blog at sammysemicolon@blogspot.com, I post up the recaps, a new top 10 this week. But probably the biggest upset has to have occurred at Oxford. Nobody thought this would come. Adams 17, Oxford 8. Oxford could not get in the end zone to what I heard in that game against Adams, and it was it was rough when you look at what happened in that game. And for Adams, for them, does this save their season? And that's a question that I think a lot of people have to look at. Does this game save Adams' season? And yes and no when I look at Adams, because when you look at Adams the last 2 weeks when they played Lake Orion and Clarkston, I really thought that they did not look right against neither of those two teams. Now their defense showed up against Oxford. I was really surprised that Oxford's pound the rock scheme could not work against Adams, but then again, I suspected, I remember a couple years ago that Oxford and Adams had a camp together when Oxford was in the Metro, where Bud Riley put a little bit of the option attack on there that he probably might have learned from Tony Petrito, but it was shocking to say the least what happened, and it was shocking that Adams' defense would hold Oxford, who's been scoring a lot of points lately, to 8 points. And this was a team that lost to Lake Orion. And Oxford just went and tore Lake Orion apart during the season. And to see Adams' defense show up and limit Oxford to 8 points, that's stunning. That is shocking, to say the least. And it was not perhaps that was the biggest upset that I've seen this year, is the Adams upsetting Oxford. Of course, now it puts Clarkston solely right now in the driver's seat in the red race. And Clarkston didn't have an easy time with Southfield. But Oxford losing to but Oxford, did not expect that happening. I really did not expect that one to. Just shocking was how they lost that game to Adams. And I don't think the people of Oxford didn't see that one coming, because, Oxford's been riding high lately. They've been competitive. They had a big win against Romeo, big win against Lake Orion. But, to see this loss, they were competitive with West Bloomfield. But to see this loss to Adams, this is a stinger for Coach Bud Riley and his staff. This is really a stinger when you look at this team now. I think Oxford's used their mulligan now, because their schedule their schedule they still got to play Clarkston, but your non-conference, your crossover game includes Stony Creek. They still have to play Troy Athens to close out the year. I mean, like Oxford's got 4 wins right now. I think Oxford's right now at 3-2, but I think Oxford can get 6 wins. Now they still got to play Bloomfield Hills, and I think I could see 3 wins right there for Oxford. I really do. I mean, but this was their mulligan. This was Oxford's mulligan. For Adams, you still have to win 6 games because I don't think Rochester or Stony Creek is getting you in the playoffs, even if you go 5-4. So if I'm Adams, I need to beat somebody that I'm not supposed to. Now, the schedule for them, they still got to play Southfield. They have West Bloomfield this week at home, which is going to be a really tough matchup considering how good West Bloomfield's been. And I think at the end of the day here, for Adams, they have to beat one of those 2 teams. I don't know if they're going to beat West Bloomfield this week, but I think that Southfield game is pretty much a must-win if you're Rochester Adams because you are not getting into playoffs at 5-4. That is fact. The only reason if I could see Adams getting it 5-4 is if Lake Orion keeps winning. That's the only reason. Let's go to let's stay in the red. I want to talk about that Lake Orion West Bloomfield game. I thought Lake Orion got robbed a little bit by the officials. Now they didn't play very well. In parts, of course, they gave up 2 touchdowns to Trey Mosley, who's a Michigan State recruit. They gave up 2 touchdowns to Donovan Edwards. But to me, I look at this matchup, and now I'm looking at what everybody's saying in the community. I know I've looked at this one tweet. They said that they wanted the entire coaching staff and the AD fired. That's not going to happen. That is not happening. Now, the reason why Lake Orion struggled the last 5 years is because I think that they have I think it's all entitlement. I really do. But it's not an excuse for them to now West Bloomfield is very good. West Bloomfield is very good. But to me, I thought Lake Orion looked very competitive, especially in that first quarter. They looked really good. And then West Bloomfield took a timeout, and then that changed the whole game. Was that timeout? And then it caused and then West Bloomfield got rolling, scoring. They scored they scored 28 unanswered. Basically take a 32-14 lead at half, and really never looked back. Now, Lake Orion did play. I thought offensively Lake Orion looked okay. I really did. They ran the ball. I thought Kobe Mansell had a heck of a game. For the unlimited carries he had, but he had a great game. For West Bloomfield, of course, it's going to be hard beating West Bloomfield. But back to the problems with Lake Orion, and I know a lot of people in the community are very upset. They very are. And, a lot of people, and this has been a problem for 5 years now. It has been a big, big problem for 5 years. Now, do I think something has to change? Yeah, absolutely. But right now, let's not forget, does it say getting rid of the whole coaching staff and getting rid of the AD? That's not going to happen. And I've said this previously because, you got to look at, of course, this coaching staff. You got to look at Coach John Blackstock. He's only in his second year as a head coach. You got to look at, of course, Lake Orion Athletic Director Chris Bell. He's in his third year as athletic director. I mean, like, Rome wasn't built overnight. Rome was not built overnight. And you're saying because that this team is not winning right now, you know, it's hard to put patience with this program because they've been successful for so long. They've been successful for so long. And then until 2013, when Dave Tuley was let go as defensive coordinator, I think that everything changed there. I really did. But either way, but you got to look at it. West Bloomfield has gotten stronger. You got to look at, of course, Oxford. This is one of their best teams, or better teams. You got to look at Adams. The whole league is tough. And, it is not easy being in the red division. It's not. So if I'm the community right now, I'd lay off on Coach John Blackstock and his staff. I'd lay off. Now, I think everybody has to get better in that program. I think everybody has to get better. And as I mentioned, Rome is not built overnight. It is not. It is not. But still, end of the day, it's about producing results. And it is what it is. West Bloomfield, when I look at West Bloomfield, they still are very undisciplined. They are very still undisciplined. They have all the talent in the world. They have a running back in Donovan Edwards who is very good. They have a wide receiver in Trey Mosley, who's a Spartan. Then you have Lance Dixon at linebacker. And for me, I didn't think West Bloomfield looked as impressive as I saw them. Now, yeah, they're young. I get it. They are very young. But at the end of the day here, if West Bloomfield wants to make a playoff run, they just have to get rid of those dumb penalties. They got to take care of their equipment issues and all that. They got to get rid of those dumb penalties because it's going to come back, because one of these days it's going to come back and bite them. And then at the end of the day here, if West Bloomfield wants to get back to Ford Field, they got to cut off the penalties. Just cut them off. Let's look at Clarkson. The Wolves are rolling right now behind their offensive line. And this was probably like one of their few games where they had to overcome adversity. Do I still trust Clarkson's skill players right now? No, I really don't. And the reason why I still don't is because they're running a formula, time possession football that really right now, that's really benefiting them. But I got to ask myself, what if Clarkson was playing from behind? What if they were desperate? And there's going to be teams that are, if you can get Clarkson behind, then I think then that's going to test a whole new element to Clarkson. Because every time Clarkson's been playing well, they've had the lead. They have had the lead. And I don't think they've trailed all season long. And it's certainly not going to happen this week against Blue Hills. Certainly will not. But what will happen if Clarkson is playing from behind? That's a question mark right there. That is a question mark right now. Now, Southfield, of course, they played better against Clarkson. Their schedule's still vicious. I mean, they got Lake Orion this week at home for the homecoming. They still got to play River Rouge. Got West Bloomfield. Got Adams. I mean, it's not going to be easy for Tim Connolly and his team. Yeah, they got a quarterback in Anthony Roms. He played really well against Clarkson. But end of the day here, I think Southfield's in a lot of trouble. I really do. And, I don't know how the fan base is going to look if they miss the playoffs for a second straight year. I really don't. But it's a big game this week between Lake Orion and Southfield Arts and Tech. Big game for them. Big game for both teams. Bloomfield Hills, I hate to say this to them, they're in a lot of trouble. They're in so much trouble. They're in a lot I mean, like as mentioned, they got Clarkson this week. They still got to play Lake Orion. Got to play Oxford, and I think it's been a long year for Dan Laurie. It's been a long year, and they close out the year with Rochester, and Rochester's improving. Now I saw Rochester practice the other day. Really impressed with what Eric Vernon's done with that team. Now I watched him kick field goals, and I really wasn't impressed with him. But what they did to Troy was they just beat Troy. And that's a big win for them. It's a big win for them going forward. It tells the direction where Eric Vernon wants to take that program. It's a good win for him. So, and then let's go to I think if there's a team that's red hot right now in the white division, it's Groves. Groves right now is a team that, beside their first two games, they played Oak Park and they played West Bloomfield. That's not easy to do. Really is not. So when you look at the games right there, when you look at what happened, and there's a game where I thought personally, where Groves is starting to turn the corner. And now, they still got to play Harrison. That's going to be tough. But they've already played their two toughest competition early. They played West Bloomfield and Oak Park. They're starting to roll again. And when I look at Groves going forward, 7-2 or 6-3 will get you in the playoffs. And I see Groves getting in the playoffs. They still got to play Seaholm. That's going to be a heck of a game between those two teams, but it's at home. It's at home. So that's going to be a huge plus for Groves. Their defense is starting to get it a little bit, even though I'm still concerned about their defense. But their offense has really started to turn the corner. Harrison, of course, is another one. They had no issue with Stony Creek on their final homecoming. It was very emotional over there on Saturday afternoon. Really emotional. When I look at Harrison's win against Stony Creek, Harrison, they've got athletes, that's for sure. I mean, Roderick Hurd was a huge difference maker in that game, but they also had another one that went off too. I think it was Sylvan Brown that went off. But if you're Harrison, going forward, I think you're a playoff team. But when I look at the fact that they're in Division III for playoffs, to me, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. But for them, it is what it is. Now, what I don't understand with Harrison, even though I know it's their final years of school, is those mismatched jerseys that they wear. Now, Nike, I know, has changed a little bit. They've gotten more of a smaller font, but you still see some players on that team that wear the big Harrison name or the big Hawk name on there, So, but everything looks the same, except the difference is the lettering. I think the who's ever wearing the newer ones have more smaller font. But with Harrison, they've got talent. The question for them is going to be their depth. That's what it is. It's going to be their depth. That's going to be the question for them going forward. Let's look at Oak Park. Of course, Oak Park, no problems at all with Troy Athens on their homecoming. I think at the end of the day, Oak Park right now is rolling. They're going to be a team that's going to be a scary team going forward. I mean, Oak Park, they had no problem with Troy Athens. Of course, it was a 33-14 game. But you know what? I thought Troy Athens fought. They battled. They competed. And I think that's his credit to Billy Keenest, what he's done with that program. I know it's tough trying to rebuild a program at Troy Athens, and I think Keenest will get that program in the right direction. But, it's going to take time. Troy Athens in a similar boat to Lake Orion. I'm saying to you right now, it's going to take time to get their program developed. I know a lot of people in the community in Lake Orion are very upset with their program, but you got to preach patience. You got to. You really got to. And I think it's the same thing at Troy Athens. You got to preach patience with your program. I know you've been rock bottom for a little while now, but being competitive against a team like Oak Park, that's not easy to do. And I think Keenest right now has got his team more advanced, I think, in developing of that program. Now, he's got a long way to go. Really does. Now, I think Troy Athens right now is in a better position than Troy is. Now, Troy is another team that it's hard for me to figure them out because I think their season's done. I really do. I mean, for Chris Frazier and his team, his dreams of playoff hopes are done because they lost to Avondale, lost to Clarkston, lost to Oak Park. Oh no, they got Oak Park this week. That's going to likely be a loss. Already lost to Harrison and lost to Groves. So they already lost to Rochester. They still got to play Groves. And it's unfortunate for them. It's tough for them because this is a team that I thought in Troy that could do some damage. Could make some noise. I think at the end of the day here, I think it's going to be. I think at the end of the day for Troy, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be. You're better off if you're Troy right now. It's going to be tough, but you still got to keep playing. You got to keep playing. You got to keep playing, and it is what is. And I think that there's some better the teams that are in right now for Troy. I think you got to get that JV team. You got to get that JV team. And you got to address some things. You got to develop your program. And I think Chris Frazier's going to have to do that. They got to do that. So, big questions there for Troy. Big questions there. Stony Creek under Nick Merlo. They have developed their they're putting a foundation together. I think they're maybe 1 or 2 years away. But they got to develop their linemen. They have to. So that's my thoughts of the white division right now. We talked Oak Park, talked Groves, talked Harrison, talked Rochester, talked Stony Creek, talked Troy and Troy Athens. Let's go to the blue division. Farmington to me they are so lucky because here's a team that sits 5-0, have not really played great, have not been impressive lately, especially on the offensive side of the ball, but they find ways to win games, and I think that's a credit to their defense. I think Corey Soroch has finally started to turn the corner a little bit, but they haven't been tested yet. They really haven't. Considering that they got to play Madison Heights. Madison's still on the schedule. I know they got North Farmington on the schedule, but they've beaten some good teams. When you beat Ferndale, you beat Avondale. I mean, that's huge. That is huge for your confidence. That's huge for your That's huge going forward. But Farmington's schedule is it's gonna get tougher. I asked myself with Farmington is you're going to get in the playoffs, and there's a big but when you get in the first round, you're going to play a good opponent and you're going to get your butt kicked. That's not easy. And you're going to be Division II, likely going to be seeing Oak Park in the first round. And I don't know how Farmington is going to be tested. But for them, I know they're off to a good start, 5-0. But but I think they got a big one. They got a big one with Seaholm coming up. Seaholm is played a logistically more tougher schedule than Farmington. And Seaholm right now starting to get back and roll again. And ever since their top 3-point loss to South Lyon, that's all the eyeball test I need to see about Seaholm and Jim Dewald's team. Because of that game with South Lyon, Seaholm, to me, I think is clearly the best team in the Blue Division. People say, well, why not Farmington? And it's pretty simple. I don't think Farmington's played a tough game yet. Their toughest game I know is in Ferndale. And they barely squeaked by that. Ferndale's starting to get better. But Seaholm's played a more tougher schedule than Farmington has. Now, South Lyon's a team that's surprising everybody. Now, people are going to say, well, South Lyon hasn't played Wall Lake Western or Waterford Mott yet. Yeah, that's true. But right now, they're in a really good spot right now. If, let's say, a Farmington played South Lyon in the playoffs, which is a possibility right now, I would have to go South Lyon right now because I can't trust Farmington right now. I cannot trust their offense. Their defense is good, but I can't trust them. And with Seaholm, they're going to be placed in a tough district, likely be with their arch rival Groves, possibly Birmingham Brother Rice. But Birmingham Brother Rice is starting to slip a little bit. They have not looked good in the last 2 weeks. I mean, yeah, they're playing Warren D. LaSalle and I'm known by Detroit Catholic Central, but they have not looked good in either of those two games. Seaholm, on the other hand, I think what's going to benefit them, and a lot of people are going to say, well, playing in the white last year is going to help Seaholm because they've seen Oak Park. They've seen Harrison. They've seen Groves. Groves is their arch rival. But those are three very good football teams that they've seen. And I think it's going to help Seaholm in the long haul. Playing in the white, it's going to help them. It will help them a lot. A team I think I'm really high on, I'm really surprised with, is North Farmington. The Raiders are a team that picked up a really good win against Berkeley. Now, I know a lot of people, I looked at Twitter and I looked at Berkeley student fan section page, the Bear Pack, and they were very upset with the officiating in that game. We'll go over the officiating in a couple minutes. But for North Farmington, this is a confidence booster for them. The fact they've sit 3-2, that is more wins than North Farmington's had in the last, I don't know how many years, but it's been a while. But for Bob Chiesa to turn that program around, and that schedule looks favorable. Even their game against Farmington, that does look favorable. Now, I still got concerns about North Farmington's scoring. You know, of course, they only put up 22 against Berkeley. I mean, they put 9 against Hazel Park, and Hazel Park we know is not very good. But for North Farmington to be 3-2 right now, you got to give Coach Bob Chiesa and those players and that staff a lot of credit. They have put together one of the most premier turnarounds. And I think it's going to get better. If they can address the Harrison situation. I mean, like with Harrison closing, you know, they'll probably get some Harrison kids coming in that program. So that's going to be very interesting to see what Chiesa has. But so is Corey Sorocho over at Farmington. He'll get some of those kids too. But either way, North Farmington right now, despite those helmets they got to get rid of real bad. The white helmets got to go. But either than that, I think North Farmington right now is on the trendward up. I think they are. And right now, I like where this program is going at North Farmington. Now, a team I think on the way down has been Avondale. Then I've been asking myself this. Where has Avondale's offense gone? They have not been the same since they lost to Ferndale. They have not been the same. And if I'm Ed Katerier and that Avondale team, you got to fix some things. I mean, what was once to be in a promising season right now is going downward right now. If I'm Ed Katerier right now, I'm saying, boys, it's time to right the ship. And I think they will do that. I really think they will do that. And for Avondale, they've got some problems. They do. Now I look at Pontiac. Pontiac's got some problems too, though. Of course, Pontiac did not look good again last week against Hazel Park, losing 48-0. That was a game I thought they would win. And it's hard for me to say this about Pontiac football, but they are a team that they're struggling. They are really, really struggling. And that's bad. I know it's tough on them, but they have got to turn something around soon. They have got to. I mean, if you want to get this program back on track, you have to start producing. You have to start winning. And I know that schedule's not easy, but you're going to have to do something different if you're going to make some noise. Hazel Park, of course, they rolled 48-0 against Pontiac. Same boat as Pontiac for Hazel Park. If it's gonna be a struggle for them. It really will be going forward in their final season in the OA. But they've got to get some things addressed. They look good against Pontiac, but we'll see what happens to them going forward. Of course, the Royal Oak Ravens. This has been a team of deep mystery. If you ever watched the movie, the series Unsolved Mysteries or Scooby-Doo, that's Royal Oak Ravens for you. Because when you look at the Ravens, this is a team that looks really good one week and then didn't look good and then doesn't look good the other week. I mean, they looked really good against Berkeley. I'm still cannot believe how they thrashed Berkeley that game 2 weeks ago. I'm still in shock. But then last week they played Seaholm. Now, Seaholm's a good team. You might as well give Royal Oak Ray McMahon the defense there. Might as well. But but Royal Oak, they're like a Jekyll and Hyde. If you think about Jekyll and Hyde or Hulk or Bruce Banner, that's Royal Oak football right now. So Ray McMahon has. And looking at the schedule, I think Royal Oak, we'll see what they have going forward, but I think they gotta beat somebody if they want to get back to postseason. They have to beat at least one more team. Because when I look at their non-conference, I think it's gonna be a little bit easier on them. Because I know they close out with Monroe Jefferson, and they beat Monroe Jefferson last year. So I think Royal Oak needs to beat somebody who they're not supposed to beat. If they do, I think they're in the playoffs. The Berkeley Bears, to me, as mentioned, this is a team that it's hard for me to get on my nerves lately, considering this is a team that lost. They've lost a couple games. Of course, they lost to North Farmington last week. Did not look good against Royal Oak. I mean, it's hard for me to explain what is going on with this team. They have a ton of experience. They have athletes. But they have not been able to put it together. And to me, I know it's frustrating to that community over there. It's especially frustrating the Bear Pack. That's for sure. But you look at that team, they've got some issues. Sean Shields has some issues he's got to fix. Do I think he can get it fixed? Absolutely. He can get it fixed. That's for sure. But we'll see what happens going forward with them. We shall see what happens with them going forward. Another issue I want to talk about here is officiating. I think there were two games that I think officiating was really suspect. The North Farmington-Berkeley game and the Lake Orion-West Bloomfield game. Now, the North Farmington-Berkeley game, there were some questionable calls against Berkeley. But then again, I think I've seen this somewhere before with the Bear Pack. And I thought personally in that game, I thought North Farmington wanted it more. They really wanted that one more. It was a good win for them. But either way, I still think at the end of the day, North Farmington wanted that game more. They wanted that game more. Now, I know the Lake Orion West Bloomfield game has a lot more attention because there were a couple calls that were just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling in that one. The delay of game penalty for not having the ball ready, that's garbage. That is absolute garbage. Because the reason why I say that's garbage is because, it's not easy to get help. It is not easy to go out there and just give a football to the official. And to me, that was a garbage penalty. That was one of the factors I thought changed the whole complexion of that game. In that game with West Bloomfield, I thought personally that the officiating was horrible. It was garbage. And it really was. Because it felt like 2-1 the penalties were against Lake Orion. 2-1. Now, yes, Lake Orion did not play well against West Bloomfield. But I thought the penalties, I thought the questionable calls, they were just awful. And I know some of those guys there, personally. I see them in basketball season. And I was disappointed. But either way, got to give credit to West Bloomfield. They played well. They played well. But I thought Lake Orion, in their case, I thought, that they had a good game plan, especially early. But I think the officiating could have been better in that game. It could have been much better. And it was just frustrating. Just frustrating. So when I look at that's my beef on the officiating. That is my absolute beef on the officiating. So now when I look at going forward, Clarkson looks to be in great shape to get in the playoffs. They should have no problem with Bloomfield Hills. I think Oxford used their mulligan. I think Lake Orion Southfield's basically an elimination game. I think it's a bigger game for Southfield than it is against Lake Orion. And of course, Oxford goes out of league against Stony Creek. And if you're Adams this week, you got no chance. And the reason why they don't have a chance is because it's West Bloomfield. Now, people are going to say, Adams went into Oxford. Nobody gave him a chance against them. That is true. But West Bloomfield and Oxford are two different animals. When you look at what West Bloomfield has and you look at what Oxford has, of course, Oxford's a team. West Bloomfield's got a ton of athletes. There is no doubt about that. I'm not even questioning how much their athletes are. I mean, they're stout, and that's being honest right there. They're a stout team. They are very stout. And for Adams for them to pull off the upset in this game, they have got to play time possession football. They have to. I thought Lake Orion did a pretty good job early on playing time possession football. That's what you have to do against them. If you want to do against West Bloomfield, you've got to keep that offense off the field. I don't trust their defense. I really don't trust West Bloomfield's defense. But I also cannot trust Adams' defense. And in that game, I still think West Bloomfield's going to win that one. But for Adams, they have got to stay on the field offensively. If they don't, they're in trouble. Let's go to the white here. This week's games include mentioned Oxford versus Stony Creek. Of course, it's going to be a tough match for Stony Creek going forward in that one. Let's look at, of course, Groves and Athens. That's going to be a really interesting game. Groves, I think, is much more better athletically. But if it comes down to lack of depth, I know we'll favor Groves in that one. Everything favors Groves. But if there's one team, I think Groves has got to be careful this week. I think they got to be careful playing a team like Troy Athens. I think Groves will win, but I think the game's going to be much closer than the score indicates. I think it's going to be much closer. Harrison taking on Rochester. Oh boy, this is going to be an interesting game. This is going to be a really interesting game. And the reason why it's going to be interesting is because this may be my upset trap. Because Harrison right now is on an emotional high right now. Rochester's coming off a big win. Yes, Rochester's got Roderick Hurd. But Harrison's got Roderick Hurd. But Rochester's got Drake Reed. If this turns out to be a worksman-like game, and I know a lot of people at Harrison don't want to hear this, but if it favors worksman-like game, I would have to give the edge to Rochester. I think if there's one team, that one game that nobody wants to see, it's Rochester. The way that they're playing. Rochester's playing well right now. And that's going to be a big game. That'll for sure be a big game. I think that game's at Harrison. So that's going to be really interesting there. And the odds of Troy going into Oak Park going in, Troy beating Oak Park is very slim this week. It really is. It's hard for me to say with what's going on, but Oak Park, way they're rolling right now, the way they're playing right now, it's going to be a tough task for them going forward. It's going to be really, really tough. And it's unfortunate with how everything's going, but it is what is. So if I'm Oak Park, I'm keeping on rolling right now. It's like you're getting ready to go to the playoffs. And Oak Park is going to get in the playoffs this week. Other games in the blue this week. Let's go to from the white to the blue. When I look at the blue matchups this week, nothing is no bigger than the matchup between Seaholm and Farmington. That is a absolutely big game right there. Oh wait, take that back. Farmington this week against Madison. For this matchup here, Austin Brown going up against Farmington's defense. That's going to be very interesting. Because the key is Farmington has not seen a quarterback in Austin Brown where that's going to pose a big time problem. Austin Brown and the rest of that Madison Heights Madison team is going to give problems for Farmington. They are, and it wouldn't surprise me if Farmington loses their first game this week. It really wouldn't surprise me. And at the end of the day, I think it's going to happen. I really do think it's going to happen. North Farmington against Royal Oak, that's a big one. That is a big one at North Farmington. Because North Farmington, the way they're playing right now, they are getting better each week. Royal Oak is a matchup where I think it's a winnable game for Farmington. It is a winnable game for them. Now, if North Farmington doesn't win this game, I think their hopes of a playoff season are shot. For Royal Oak, this is a game they need to win. Because looking at their schedule going forward, I know their schedule lightens up considerably considering they got to play Detroit Edison and Monroe Jefferson. You know those are 2 guaranteed wins. But the big one, I think, for Avondale, for Royal Oak, is if they can go and beat Avondale. Royal Oak sits 2-3 right now. Knowing they have to win out. North Farmington's schedule does get tougher. And they still got to play Farmington for the Farmington Cup. Now, that's a matchup I think North Farmington's got a chance. And then they still got to play Avondale to close out the year. And then they got to play Macomb Luther North. But right now, if I'm North Farmington right now, this is the game you need. You're at home against Royal Oak, a team that has been up and down, sort of like Jekyll and Hyde. I mean, this is a game you need desperately. Seahom's not going to have any problem with Pontiac. That's going to be just a absolute drubbing over there between Seahom and Pontiac. It might be high 60s, unfortunately, for Pontiac. Getting a bunch of points, so that's going to be... If I'm Jim Dewald, I'm getting your second stringers to play a lot in this game. Your second stringers should play a ton in this game against Pontiac. And the Maple Forest will be rocking. They will be. And if you're Pontiac, and I know it's their homecoming for Seahome, so happy homecoming for them. And then you got to look at the, and then of course you got Avondale against Berkeley. Both these teams have been scuffling a little bit. It's going to be who can turn the corner. Whoever turns the corner, I think is going to be a team that can do some damage going forward. And for Avondale, I think they need this more, considering that they got a brutal schedule. They have got an absolute brutal schedule. Because whoever wins this game, it's basically an elimination game. Because Avondale still has to play Royal Oak. They have to play North Farmington, and they have to play Hazelpark. Berkeley, on the other hand, they still have to play Seahome, Ferndale, and they close out the year against Troy. So, and Ferndale right now is a red-hot football team right now, the way they're playing. They knocked off Birmingham Troy Country Day last week. They still have to go on the road for 4 games. That includes a big one with Redford Thurston. So Ferndale right now, and I forgot to mention earlier, I apologize to the Eagle Nation. But Ferndale's getting right back to where they need to be. They are getting right back where they need to be. Now the road trip's going to be tough, but I think that schedule that Ferndale has to close out the year is very favorable. I think they're going to get past Hazel Park. They are going to get past Hazel Park. That's not even a question. They're going to get past Pontiac. That's not even a question there. So I would put Ferndale right now maybe 5-2 heading in their game with Berkeley. And I think they'll be favored in that one. I think 3 of the 4 games, Ferndale will be favored. 3 of the 4. And for Berkeley, this is desperation time for them. It really is. Against an Avondale team that is also desperate. Now, Avondale sits 3-2 right now. But I think Berkeley right now is a more desperate team. They need that game more than you do. Now, my thoughts this weekend, with this weekend set of games, of course, a lot of good ones this weekend. A lot of good ones. I think the games I am looking forward to are Lake Orion, Southfield Arts and Tech. That's a big one because the winner right now still controls their own destiny, while the other one's in some big trouble. I think Southfield needs that game more than Lake Orion because of the schedule they have to play. The game I'm curious to see. Another one I'm curious to see is Harrison Rochester. I think this is an upset trap for Harrison waiting in the wings here because if Rochester can win that game against Harrison, who knows where this season might go for them. But that's a trap game for sure. Groves and Athens is a trap game. And the reason why I say it's a trap game is because Athens, they have been through a lot. And they are playing with nothing to lose right now. And then the big games in the blue, Farmington, Madison Heights, Madison, that's a big one for sure. I think when you look at that matchup, if Farmington loses that game, I think they're fine. But it wouldn't surprise me if Madison does beat them. And it's in Madison Heights, so it's going to be a really tough chore for them. So, and then, of course, North Farmington, Royal Oak, that's another one I'm looking forward to. Because those two teams North Farmington's in a very odd place. They are in a very odd place. If they win out, they're going to be in the playoffs. Now, their experience needs to help them here big time. I think it will. But for Royal Oak, they need this game. They need this game. Because when you look at Royal Oak's last 2 games, they're non-conference against Detroit Edison and Monroe Jefferson. You might as well just pencil them in as wins. But for Royal Oak fans, the big one for them, people are going to say, well, they better be careful not to look ahead to Avondale because they're probably viewing Avondale as the biggest game of their season, which it is. Because if they were to beat Avondale and if they were to beat North Farmington, those are the 2 games they need if they want to get back to playoffs. And right now, if you're Royal Oak right now, it's an interesting spot where they're in. But for North Farmington, they're in a very unusual place. They are. Because the way that team is, of course, they have not experienced 3 wins in a long time. They have not experienced that. So, we shall see going forward how things are with North Farmington. We shall see. But that's a game I'm looking forward to. That really is a game I'm looking forward to. My final thoughts of the week here. Didn't talk much about volleyball. Didn't talk much about cross country. Volleyball, I still think this week there's some big games. Of course, the big one in the red is Lake Orion Clarkston. That'll be a heck of a game between those 2 teams. We played on Thursday. I think that will go a long way to determine who wins the red. But always got to watch out for Stony Creek in that division. Athens, West Bloomfield, as I mentioned earlier, I still think those are the 2 teams to beat. In the blue division, I still think it's North Farmington. But watch out for Berkeley. They could be a sleeper to worth watching. Boys soccer, I still think its class right now looks to be Adams, but also you got to look at possibly Berkeley. Berkeley did beat Adams early in the year. But Berkeley Adams are the two top teams right now in that in soccer right now. Cross country, a lot still going on. We're see what happens there. Tennis, we'll see what happens there. Girls golf, we'll see what happens there. But lot going around the high school ranks right now. There is a lot going around there. Okay, now everybody here, I'm gonna sign off here this week. This is Sammy Termina going solo this week. Of course, my co-host Ian Locke, he's on assignment this week, so we shall see what happens going forward. Okay, now everybody, I'm gonna sign off here. I'm Sammy Termina here. Sign off. Take care, and God bless all.